Bean Soup Times is on a mission to create dope content that entertains, educates, and empowers the Black community. We keep our ear to the ground, we ask, we report to you. We help Black people to share their message. We promote real dialogue. We provide a platform to help give voice to the voiceless. We educate you on how to shop smart. Our passion is to inform you about Black events, businesses, organizations, and entertainers. We are Black owned. We are Black Chicago. We are the award-winning Bean Soup Times.
Y'all started off with that blessing, man. Appreciate it.
All right, greetings, peace and blessings, everybody. This is Tori Muhammad. This is the Black Business Matters show. And man, I'm excited, man, to have a brother that I'm meeting for the first time. I've heard a lot of great things about him. Erick, Ervin, man, Dreamtown Real Estate. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to be here. I'm an honored guest. Thanks for having me. Heard a lot about you from our mutual friend.
Yeah, man, absolutely, man. We appreciate the love, Christy Love. She got an eye on the news and an ear to the ground all the time. Yep. So, man, this is the Black Business Matters show, man, and we love to showcase and talk to Black businesses. You know, it's popular right now, and that's a good thing, man. It's good when more people understand the importance of it. And you have a unique background we want to hear a lot about. So tell us a little bit about yourself, man, where you come from. I heard you from that west side of Chicago, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Proud West Sider, born and raised in Chicago. And just grew up like in the I moved around a little bit, but not a lot, just most I would say that I know of, you kind of just move from here and there. So started off like on Jackson in California, right across the street from Marillac House. That's what's called East Garfield Park. I didn't really get hip to like neighborhood names until I became a real estate broker. Like, to me, it was just like, where you from? I'm off of this cross street. I'm from
right.
I'm off of Madison and Pulaski, or something like that. I'm off of 79th and Colfax or something. Now it's just like, oh, I'm from this neighborhood. I'm from this this area. Even there's little micro neighborhoods within neighborhoods now. So started off in East Garfield Park, and then moved to what's now called West Humboldt Park, but we didn't really consider it Humboldt Park. Really off of Central Park in Augusta. We just it's just Central Park in Augusta, just the west side, but that's what's called West Humboldt Park now. And then eventually to the Austin neighborhood, where I spent like my teenage years and young adult life in that area. So just really on the west side primarily. And I love it. I love the west side. I love just the vibe. We kind of, no shade to the south side, but it's just smaller. I guess we know each other. You kind of know everybody on that side of town. And so you really felt the community over there, just from my perspective, and I got some good friends on the south side of Chicago as well.
Man, absolutely, man. Each part of the city has its uniqueness and its differences. Yeah. And I got to acknowledge that. Born and raised on the south side, rather, but I spent time on the west side. One of my clients was, for a few years, was Providence St. Mel. So I was over there a lot doing recruiting to get people into the school. Yeah. And one thing I noticed about the west side is different from the south side is that you have street directors that'll be in the street at any moment on the west side, slowing you down, making sure like, man, get off the street, man. What's up, man? You're gonna slow down when you come down this block.
Right. Yeah.
I have no fear of cars on the west side. Man, so obviously, man, you went on and got into real estate. You're a real estate broker, correct?
Yes, sir.
So
Yes.
talk a little bit about, on the course, we got stories from the West Side and the South Side, the importance of home ownerships, right? So talk a little bit about home ownership and why you got into this line of work.
So I got into this arena. I was working for post-secondary education school, and the role had changed a little bit. So, me, I'm more on my feet. I like to be out. I like to meet people, and that's what I was doing in the role. But things changed, and now I was sitting at a desk at a cube, and it just wasn't fitting. At the same time, I used to I had a hustle. I was selling. I don't call them sneakers, but the majority of the world in Chicago we call them gym shoes,
Right.
or mics. But I was selling mics, online, and so I had got the idea. I'm like, you know what? I should open a store. That led to trying to find a building, trying to find some property. And at the same time, a buddy of mine, she was like really into like flipping homes and let's learn more about how you flip a house. And so I went to this meeting with her, got some good information. I was like, man, I'm like this real estate stuff. And so everything was kind of bubbling at the same time for me. And it was making sense. But I'm like, you know what? I think I'm gonna get my real estate license. And so that's what I did. Got my license because I don't really like getting secondhand information. So I wanted to get the information myself and kind of learn and go through that process on my own. So once I really got into it and got my license, it was like going to college. It's just like, because it's what they teach you in the, in the classroom is a lot different from what you learn on the job experience. And then so I got to see the process and got to help people through that process of buying a home, and then just working with different people and working with different backgrounds, seeing how they set themselves up to make this what is the largest purchase that mostly anyone will make. It's the largest investment any of us probably will make. Seeing how they set themselves up to do it, and then realizing some of the disparities between where I come from and the people I know and what we're doing versus the other people on maybe the north side that I'm helping, or out in some of these suburbs that I'm helping. And I'm just like, you know what? It's a gap that needs to be closed. And I don't know if I can close it. I'm sure I can't close it by myself, but I'm willing to push to close that gap, because it's definitely some information that's missing that a lot of us don't have, and that we need. It's vital. It's imperative that we get it.
That's right. I mean, this was what we were told is part of the American dream, man. Home ownership, to have a piece of the rock, this earth, at least right on top of that earth. You might not own the land up under it, but at least the house itself, man, right. You got some ownership in it. So talk a little bit about what's different now. How has the pandemic, COVID-19, of course, now, you add on to that the looting and rioting and the protesting. How has that affected the market now? Is it a buyer's market, a seller's market? What's going on?
So right now, and that's the thing that's very, it's just like, man, it's so much that we're not getting that flow of information. So right now, seller's market, in which a lot of people would think like, well, we're in the middle of a pandemic and we're in the middle of a lot of social unrest. There's a lot of uncertainty.
Right.
It hasn't changed the home prices. So, I mean, at this current moment, where we stand in June, in 2020, home prices haven't changed. They've been kind of just flat. So they remain the same throughout the pandemic. The only thing that really changed was actually just the way you were able to go about and actually see a house, see a home. Mm-hmm. And, so there were different precautions that went into place once the stay-at-home orders went in, where we as brokers, we had to do like a lot of virtual showings or virtual open houses. So you couldn't really go into someone's home and look at the home, but people were still writing contracts on homes. People were still buying homes, and there were closings still happening. People were doing drive-through closings. Like if you just bought a house, you know, maybe your lender or your attorney pulled up and you just signed the paperwork in the car. A lot of
people were buying cars, but I mean buying a house without even going into the house.
Well, so you could, so that you had an opportunity to go into the house if you put a contract on it. So
okay.
like there was an inspection period where you did get that right to inspect the home, but a lot of people were buying it virtually. So they didn't go in the first time and then just kind of hoping or wishing or like really having confidence. Like when we get in here for this inspection, it is going to be what we thought it was. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, they were still going on. The transactions, there were closings that were still happening, even through the pandemic. And now Chicago has this, we have a market that follows the weather. Obviously, you know, we're cold.
Right.
Cold weather city. So our normal curve starts spiking up around the end of February. So that's called the spring market. And that's the rush because people have been in the house, they've been pent up and they just come out, you know, ready to go. Well, that rush was just delayed because we've been in the house for up until really like just now. So when you think about it, where stuff usually would start to taper off around July because people usually have already bought their home and then they go on vacation or do whatever they need to do. And then they kind of start settling down because the kids will be going back to school in August or September. Well, now everyone's like, all right, I'm out the house. Like, let me get this, you know, let me find what I'm looking for. And there's a big premium on people looking for something that's got some yard space or because we were in the house for so long. So people like really like, this is the stuff that I want. I want a yard or, you know, I want some sort of outdoor space or some space that I can kind of enjoy that's not really confined to me being in the house watching TV.
Man, that's a good point. That makes a lot of sense. So what are you, along with that space, are people also looking for multi-units now, more 3 flats, more space like inside as well as outside?
Well, I haven't really seen an uptick in the multi-units. Let me say, I haven't really seen anything different. There's certain neighborhoods like East Garfield Park, West Garfield Park, where the multi-units were moving already because investors, Chicago is a ripe investment city. The returns you're going to get here, you're not really going to see in a lot of other cities because your buy-in is so high, you know? So those have been holding firm anyway. As far as the what has seen an increase, there are a lot of people that have the ability to move to the suburbs that were in the city. Mm-hmm. Suburbs are seeing an increase. So, you know, like people that were in the city and thought it was cool to be in the city. Hey, I like the city. I like the vibe. Well, they were in the house. And so now the suburbs are starting to see like an increase in sales because people want more of that space where they weren't getting it in the city. But if you were someone that was looking to buy in the city for investment purposes, like the multifamily, because Chicago has the inventory of multifamily units in Chicago probably is second to none. There's some areas where, like West Garfield Park, the ratio of multifamily homes to single family homes is 90% to 10. So out of all the property that's in that neighborhood, 90% of them are multifamily homes. So, you know, so those are things that draw a lot of attention from outside investors from either out of state or even out of the country that look to buy those apartment buildings because they know they're going to see those returns on that investment.
Right. I guess who was that? Pangea? Are they done? Are they gonna come back and get some more stuff? Because they came in like
they got a lot. They got a lot. I just seen there's a report. I just seen it this morning. I know I think it was in the Real Deal. It might be in Cranes as well. So there's a Better Homes, I believe is the name, or Better Housing out of Ohio. They have a lot of buildings on the south side, and they can't pay. So there's actually someone that's gonna, a firm that's gonna buy, I think it's maybe 465 units, pennies to the dollar. So they're probably gonna be paying like maybe 15 million for a portfolio that was worth 40 to 50 million.
Wow. Wow, dude. Right. Because like you said, it's a buyer's market, man. Are there any Black owned companies that have that kind of buying power that can come in and scoop up stuff right now?
Not that I know of. And that's something that I was thinking about as I was reading the article. I mean, I'm like, man, that would be a great opportunity. Not that I know of. I know there's, I know Jay Morrison has his Tulsa Real Estate Fund, where he's crowdfunding, and
right.
So it would be nice to see more things like that. I actually, had some aspirations. I started what's called the West Side Breakfast Initiative. Once a month, it was just a meeting of the minds, and just I think that we don't share information in our community. It's just not something that we do or something that's normal to us. So the West Side Breakfast Initiative was to normalize networking and the sharing of information. It just came out of a real life situation where a friend of mine, he was handed down a lot of property on the West Side from his grandparents. One of the buildings caught fire. He didn't really want to repair it or fix it. And then so he sold it. But the gentleman he sold it to is someone that's buying up a lot of property in that area. They're fixing the property, rehabbing it, and their projections on that property, like they're gonna make a lot of money, in a few years. My point to him was, look, had you just, maybe talked about what you were going through or what you were feeling, right. I know quite a few people that would have loved to take that off your hands, but sometimes we just don't get in that mode of, we kind of keep it to ourselves and like, I don't want to really talk about, my personal business. But I think that sometimes hinders us and slows us down when we're trying to, get together and amass some sort of wealth in our own community. It just, the information's not there. No one's speaking. No one knows what's going on. And we're not really paying attention to what's happening around us on these blocks.
Man, brother, you sharing some very important information, and you got a smooth way you delivering it, but that's really some revolutionary stuff that you're talking about right there. We don't share information enough so that we can keep stuff flowing in our own community, because you're absolutely right. Situations like that happen all the time, and people don't realize that if it was somebody, a neighbor, if it was somebody in their family or somebody that could have helped, then it keeps home ownership. It keeps real estate ownership in that area. Talk a little bit also, if you can, about how home ownership and that piece of stability and the real estate taxes and how that all that can play into the importance of an overall community, right? You got to have Black businesses. You got to have Black home ownership. So talk a little bit, if you can, a little holistic about how important it is for a community to own the community. Because, I think early on, when it immediately happened, people were criticizing Black folks tearing up their own community. Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but as we started looking at the aftermath, there weren't a lot of, I saw areas where a whole shopping mall was ransacked for the Black-owned business in that shopping area, right? So, and now I know that ain't across the board, but there was a lot of, like, they was picking and choosing who they were looting, and it wasn't people who own stuff who lived in the community. It was big corporations.
Yeah. So, man, that's a good rabbit to chase. So this is my thoughts, and I work with young people all the time. I work with them a lot. I work with our young people, And I think that when the looting and the you know, breaking and just tearing up the businesses, like you said, a lot of those, why are you tearing up our community? Well, we don't really own it. You know, is it ours? You know, per se, you know, if we don't own anything. And then some of those businesses were businesses that people in those neighborhoods patronize, but they didn't respect them. They didn't treat them with any type of respect. So when the time came, you seen who they respected, you know? So, exactly. So going forward, I would say this, because I one of my buddies, you know, has a business on the west side, and it was looted, and he's rebuilding. I think that going forward, if you are a business owner and you have a business in the community, if you don't know what to do, maybe just ask. But it doesn't take a lot, as far as when I say the word outreach. It doesn't take a lot to reach out to maybe some of the younger people in your community where you're operating. Maybe just show them a few things. Because when the young people that I work with, a lot of times that's what they're saying is they don't really know how to do anything. So if they don't know how to do anything and they don't know how to be productive, you know, what's left for them to do? You know, and not condoning any wrongdoing that they're doing, but I mean, you know, if you don't know what to do, then you're just gonna do whatever you really feel like, or you see someone else doing that may be of influence to you. So, and holistically, the way we can work with home ownership and in owning the businesses in our community is that ultimately our communities become more attractive to us, you know, not worrying about anybody else, because I get it a lot of times, you know, I'm looking to move to this area and I, you know, and so I'm going to help you. I'm going to service you, you know, and help you reach whatever goal it is you're trying to attain. But I know for a fact that we're trying to move out, but a lot of people are trying to buy in, you know?
Right.
You just look at the you know, the layout of most urban cities, you know, that may be a misnomer, but if you look at the layout of most cities in America, the downtown area is usually in the middle, and then everything flows outwardly. Well, what's next to downtown is usually areas that we are the majority. So those areas are very attractive to people that are working downtown, professionals.
That's right.
You know, and then now you know, what I'm starting to see is a different mindset as far as the non-Black millennial. They don't really want the suburb house in the long drive. Right. So they want the you know, the public transportation and, and the easy commute.
Skateboard. They want a skateboard to work.
you said it. Right. So it's almost just like we're operating in reverse, you know, and you know, and I see it all the time. I'm like, we moving and it's you know, a lot of other people are coming in, and then now the prices are going up. And then now we look and we try to get back in and we can't afford it.
Can't afford it.
So it all works hand in hand with the you know, with the networking and talking and just talk. Because what happens is that you don't say anything, you losing your house, somebody gets it for pennies on the dollar. They fix it, make it look nice, and someone that wants to get close to downtown that can afford it is now paying a premium and paying extra. And then so now the taxes just went up because the house was improved. Now the values are going up. The area is increasing in value. And then now we're on the outside looking in and trying to jump back in. and now we can't because it's out of our range. So that's the fight that we're fighting right now.
Right, man, that's right, man. That's some good information. And I don't know if you can still do those meetings virtually or whatever for the time being, but those conversations, not only I'm glad you're having them with on the West Side, and shout out to Michael Greer. That's a West Side brother right there.
Okay.
Entrepreneur, shaker, and mover. We gotta have those conversations, man, and always be talking about the bigger picture.
Absolutely.
Right? So, man, I appreciate brothers and sisters. If y'all just tuned in, this is the Black Business Matters show. We're talking with Erick Ervin, and he got that Erick, he got that Julius Ervin goatee. I mean, a beard working with him.
Man,
the same namesake, but man. So tell us a little bit. I know you talked about a few things, but as we close out, talk about Dreamtown Real Estate and what you all, this variety of services you offer, and if you can also, I know there's an importance and a value that more people are now placing on and getting their credit together. So if you want to talk a little bit about, what folks should be doing right now to take advantage and get in place and position and maybe have a home in the next, 6 to 12 months, what should they be doing right now?
Well, so let's talk about what you should be doing right now. So what you should be doing right now is, so there was pre-COVID-19, the state had a lot of grants, had a lot of programs for down payment assistance and closing assistance. Some of those programs have been suspended. So what you should be doing now is, if at all possible, build up your savings and don't really bet that those programs will come back or will be available, going forward, because there's a uncertainty. So a lot of uncertainty in the market and with people, jobs. And so the banks are like, they're holding off on that. Another caveat of the banks, being protective of themselves is your credit. So you want to work on improving your credits, your credit profile, not only the score, but your entire profile. So your score can be great, but if if there's some things that don't look right on your profile, they may knock you down and not take you into consideration. So get with someone that knows how to, and there's a number of people that can help you with that. I'm definitely work with some of those people and I can refer you to them. Get with someone that knows how to create a good picture for your profile, whether it be having different trade lines, new credit, actually using the credit. Because if you have it and don't use it, that impacts you as well. And not so much, if you have some debt, figuring out ways to get that removed, either whether it be, by paying it or just, having it removed if it's inaccurate. So, and that's another thing. Make sure you're reviewing your credit and figuring out what's inaccurate so you can have that removed. And it takes time. So right now in this moment, just start somewhere and start working on it, because it can, it may take you 6 months to get your profile where you need it to be. And then also getting those savings together. And I know a lot of people, so sometimes a lot of people will say, well, I'm paying rent and how can I save and I'm paying rent? So that leads to being creative. If you have the ability, some of the other cultures I work with, what they tend to do is not living in maybe an apartment by yourself and having all these expenses. A lot of my non-Black clients, I see it time and time again. They live together. Everyone gets it right. It's a family. Kind of a family financial roadmap or financial plan, and I know a lot of people don't mix family and business and family. if you know where you're going and you have a plan, you have a roadmap, it can possibly and potentially work.
That's right.
Yeah. If you're in a situation where you say, well, I don't have a lot of family, I don't have anyone I could maybe live with, or I don't have any brothers and sisters where we can downsize and get together, then maybe find a way to acquire an extra income. Maybe the place that you're living in, maybe you could find something comparable that isn't or is, maybe less expensive. But you got to find a way to build up your savings, because if the banks ever decide that they're not going to have these programs for you, you want to be able to have a down payment. So for an FHA loan, a down payment is 3.5%. So for example, if you're buying a $200,000 house, then you're going to need about $7,000 down payment. Closing is usually about 1 to 2%. You could sometimes negotiate the closing costs with the seller. And so, you're looking at maybe another $3,000. So you want to start with something. And then a lot of those programs were loans anyway, or forgivable loans that, that tied you into the property. A good option, I want to really stress this, is looking at HUD homes. A lot of people that they want that perfect home already. They want it like in the gate, I want to be MTV Cribs ready day one, but if you're willing to put some sweat into a house, look into buying something that's maybe not up to your standard at the moment, and working on it and getting it to where you want to be. Two things that are going to happen when you do that. One is that you're going to be saving money because your mortgage is probably not going to be that high. And then two, you're going to be building equity in that home. So if you look at a home as a financial vehicle, and not like, if I could eliminate the theory or the dream home, look at a home as a financial vehicle. It's gonna take you from one place to another. So if you get a house and you fix it up and you build in some equity into that home, now that's what that's what they were talking about when they were saying the American dream. It was having a house that has some equity, using that equity to propel you to somewhere else. So whether that being buying a home for your child, or helping them with the down payment for their home, or buying a multifamily that you can use to rent out. Maybe you got some family members that can't quite get a home, and they need to rent a home. So if we can get out of that idea, and that's for everyone, if we can get out of that idea and notion of the dream home or dream house, and try to find something where you can build it up to a standard, or build it up to a point where you've built in some equity, and maybe even sell it, and now you got some money, but look at the home as a financial vehicle and not like an end destination.
Man, it's excellent information. And we see Linda Perez says she wants to get some referrals on getting those inquiries removed off her credit.
Yeah.
And she also texted me and told me stop nodding my head so much. So I heard you. I got you. So, man, talk a little bit about, and I value what you said too, brother. And, like you talked about the meeting that you all have to share information. We need to talk more about what our parents and our grandparents did.
Yes.
When I talk to them and you start learning these stories, and sometimes when you got big families, you see the dynamics and you wonder why this auntie, really pours over, really loves, your father so much. And you find out, well, damn, my father stayed with her for 2 years,
right,
while grandma and granddad was doing what they were doing, putting money together, and then coming up here, living. They all lived together. So, she was an aunt, but she was like second mom to them, because they were all in the same household for a certain period. Then everybody started moving out, right? And those are not unique stories, but we don't hear them often, and we don't apply those same principles to the day. When many of us that are relatives, man, could be, if we were growing up with that idea and knew that happened, we would be more open to it when the possibility came. instead of putting all this money into renting in one location. Hell, even if it's a 3-flat, right? Everybody get on in there and get that 3-flat. And everybody got some space, put y'all together, and the mortgage is less because it's 3 of y'all working together on it. So that leads to the idea we got to settle our differences, man. Settle your differences with family so y'all can work together for economic survival.
Yeah, I think that I think when we did, and I don't want to make sure, Linda, if you reach out to me at Erick Ervin on Instagram, or you can reach out to me at erickervin@gmail.com. And definitely we can connect, and I can put you in touch with someone that can help you. But I like what you said. I think, first of all, Chicago is ripe for that. Mm-hmm. If you remember or recall, I said that, how some neighborhoods like East Garfield, Austin, is like 75% to 25 multifamily to single family homes. That's the ratio. A lot of neighborhoods in Chicago have more multifamily buildings than single family homes. I was fortunate enough that on both sides of my family, on my mom's side and my dad's side, they both had family buildings. And so I kind of grew that. What you're talking about, it was my life. I grew up, I'm on one floor, my cousin's on the first floor, and it's just like, we're all together. And then, and those buildings are owned free and clear because, everyone was all in the house, and paying that down. Now, we didn't extrapolate that and keep going with that model. But I think that, we kind of got away from that. And I think what happens is, as time grows and as we have grown and been here for, and try to integrate into what we've seen on TV and the model that we thought we wanted, or, we thought we should have or attain. But, Chicago is right for that. So if you have some financial intelligence, if you're the family member that has some financial intelligence or some level of financial literacy, sit down with your family, create a plan to potentially, it would do wonders for you and future generations. Like you said, get a 3-flat. And then now you got 3 families in there. And okay, yeah, it's gonna be some rough and tumble because y'all close. But at if you keep the end goal in mind, like, look, 1, we're paying less than we would individually renting. 2, we're gonna own a vehicle that will help us and help the future generation expound and expand on what we're doing right now. And that's ultimately the goal. And if more of us knew that, I'm not gonna say if we knew that, because that's just an assumption that we know, but we don't know. So if more of us knew that and talked about it, I think we would start to see the fruits of that labor.
Man, beautiful response, man. Talk a little bit about Dreamtown Realty, how people can get in touch with you. I know you just mentioned it for Linda, but let's say it again for those who may have just tuned in. And man, it's been a good conversation so far. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you. Thank you for having me. So I've been to Dreamtown about 2 months. I just moved to Dreamtown. And so far, so good. I'm liking it. I'm a part of a team at Dreamtown, which is the Lewis Real Estate Group. But if you want to get in touch with me, you can reach me via email at erickervin@gmail, or on Instagram. I'm on there a lot at Erick Ervin on Instagram. And what we offer is, my approach is I'm just real relational. And that's why I like what I do, is because it's like I join a family every time, because we spend a lot of time together in this process, whether you're buying or selling a house. We spend a lot of time together. We get to know each other, and I become the rational family member, actually, because home buying and home selling is an emotional process and an emotional thing. And so you need someone that's rational and that's, a good negotiator to navigate through these things for you.
Yes, I can guess one thing: the buyer always wants the lowest amount, and the seller always wants the highest amount.
Right. Hey, we want what we want.
Right.
It's my job. It's my job to get it and to get it as close to what you want as possible. But yeah, sometimes it works out. Sometimes the buyer's in love and they want to give you all the money they can. And, and the seller's like, I'll take all the money you have.
There's some agreement right there, right?
Right. That's a simple one.
Man, we appreciate you, man. Anything we didn't cover, you want to make sure that we ask?
Nah, I think we covered a lot, man. I always feel like I'm talking too much and running my mouth, so I feel like we covered a lot. I appreciate you having me. Definitely like the questions you asked. You touched on everything that's important to me, which is us.
Yes, sir. Absolutely, man. It's a pleasure having you on. Man, you're welcome to come anytime, man. We're always willing to share information, and you have information that our community needs to know about.
All right. Thank you, brother.
Absolutely. Brothers and sisters, that's another episode of the Black Business Matters show. We got a few public service announcements, and we're going to show you Sean Michelle's, that beautiful ad that they always run. But we appreciate, man, the information that we are able to bring to you all, and want y'all to share with it, people. Man, make sure you check out Erick Ervin's pages. Go share this interview with a bunch of folks so they can get this information too, so we can have more home ownership. So, but check out my people, Sean Michelle's, man, the best ice cream. I'm telling you, on earth. I don't know what Martians got, but I doubt if it's better than Sean Michelle's. So check out that commercial.
Sean Michelle's homemade ice cream is the only place to go when the ladies crave delicious old-fashioned homemade ice cream. Their vanilla tastes just like Grandma used to make it. With over 35 flavors, all made with the freshest ingredients, Kathy has never had banana pudding ice cream this good. It's homemade ice cream the way you remember, and Sean Michelle's doesn't upset your stomach. Enjoy in-store or take it to go. Sean Michelle's. Fall in love again.
First-time customers, buy one, get one free.
All right, that's the conclusion of this show. Now, listen, we have another show back-to-back on Black Chicago East. We're going to be interviewing Yvette Moyo and whoever she brings on with her to talk about Real Man Cook. Real Man Cook has been celebrating for 30 years. Real Man Father's Day celebration. They did one this weekend. It was virtual, so we're going to talk about that on Black Chicago East Facebook page. We're going live in a second. So we see y'all in a minute. Hope y'all have a wonderful day, and peace out.